Alright. So, let's get this close. Video editing. Cool. Let's do it. So, when you start up Premiere, it's pretty standard for all the Adobe stuff. You can just hit new project, call it whatever you want. And none of this is really important. You don't need to worry about that. Oh yeah, so let me go back to the standard because I'm set up for like 3 screens. So where is it? Editing. Yeah. All right. So with video editing, it's like it's always been like with like film. Like how like film comes on like lots of little pictures. You're still cutting up little pictures, So this section is like where you keep all your footage. This is where you'll be watching the video, and down here is a timeline. So it'll make a lot more sense when I start importing things. So I got a couple of things. So I got 2 videos and a song. This video is not going to look good, but I'll give it a shot. So what you can do is you can just drag one of these. So we got some buttons down here. You can make so this is like what do you call the bin? So you can like organize all your stuff, like collect it, make folders. So if you've got like a really big project, you can like organize all your stuff here, but we've only got 3 things, so it's no big deal. But you can be like one bin, so for footage, and then like another bin for audio, and like another bin for graphics. So if you've got like a really big project and you're like handing stuff between different people, you can
usually organize it by section, like if you have the music and the video together for like one section of the footage, or
well, it depends on the project really, but usually it's good to keep a tidy project. So footage in there, audio in there. Don't have any graphics, so let's get rid of that. So also I'll make a new one called sequences. So sequences is kind of like your edits basically, or you could call it edits, but we just call them sequences at work. Fuck, it's bloody hot. Ugh. Alright, so I'm gonna make a new one. So you can just click this dude down here, go new sequence. So you'll be bombarded with a lot of different things here, and you won't really know which one to use. Took me ages to find out that I just default to the same one each time. I think it's this one. 1920, 1080. Yeah, okay, so I'll give you a little demo, like an explanation of different sizes and stuff and where they come up. So when you make a project, because if you start a new project and make it the wrong size, it's way harder to go back and change the size later, because then you'll have to resize every single little piece of footage. So it's better to have the right size when you start. So the most popular one that's pretty much everywhere is standard HD, which is when you're talking pixels, it's 1920 by 1080. But it's most commonly known as 16:9, which is whoa, can't read that. Boop. Yeah, so 16:9, 10. Fuck. Why? There we go. So the aspect ratio of this is, so it's like 16 across and 9 down, but that can apply to multiple sizes. So we've got what was the one below that? Was it 12? That's it. 1280 by 720. So you might start recognizing these from YouTube. Oops. So you've got 1080p, 720p. That's what that comes from. But it's 1920 pixels wide. I'm not good with words. I'm good with visuals. Anyway, and then the next one down's like standard definition, what you'd get from the old school TV before they upgraded to HD, which was 1024 by 576, and then what was the one below that? 640 by 360, I believe. But these are all 16 by 9 ratio. So the ratios are all the same. I think, and then there's like, if I'll just make this a bit bigger. Weep. I think above that you've got, I can't even remember, but it goes up to like 4K or 2K and 4K. Can't remember them off the top of my head. But what we're going to do is it's always good to do like a big one, and then you can always downscale them later, sort of thing. So the one that I found in here that works the best, you just got to try and find one that's 1920, 1080. So that's your 16 by 9 at its biggest, and it can always be downscaled later. So the other thing is frame rates. So for frame rates, you've got, come on. Everything we do in Australia is all 25 frames per second. I think the US is 30. Cinema is 24.9 something. I can't remember, but 24.9 round it. So, and also, if a lot of people like on YouTube like to do like video gaming stuff and a lot quicker, so it's like 60 frames per second. But you're doing anything in Australia, it really doesn't matter. But the internet takes anything these days. But usually, doing stuff in Australia, you want to go 25 frames per second. So I found this one is 1920, 1080, 25 frames per second. And if you're doing stuff for online, you want to make sure it's a square pixel ratio, which is just 1:1. So it's not gonna, because you can do where it's when you're doing stuff for like television. Where is it? There's other stuff in here, which is like the ratio is like for each pixel, it's wider by this amount, and so when that goes to TV, it squishes back to normal. But if you want to just stick to doing stuff for online, which I'm assuming most of you guys are going to do, so we're going to go 1080p, 25 frames per second. All right, let's fucking get into it. I'm going to call it stars and shit. Okay, so this is your timeline down the bottom. At the moment it's just blank. So I'm going to grab one of these bits of footage that I just ripped off the net. Let's go Wanderers. And you can just drag stuff down. So this video you can click on it and preview it, and then it'll come up on another one. So sometimes this is good. Can we fit it? Fit. There we go. See, this video, its ratio is, where is it? Yeah, it's 1920 by 816, and that's just the style that this creator wanted to go for. So when they upload it, it comes out really widescreen. And so when I've gone to drag this into our timeline, it's asked me if I want to change the existing timeline to this widescreen, but no, I want to keep it, so in case, I just want to keep it standard. So I'm going to go keep existing settings. And then so what that does is it gives it these like letterboxes, so it fits it in. But you can always just right click on it and I always forget where it is. Scale frame to set the frame size. No. Scale the frame size. No. Well, we can. There's always other ways we can do it. Where is it? Fix? No. Effect controls, and you can always scale it up, to fill the screen. Anyway, I'll get to that in a sec. Is there sound on this? Maybe. Maybe I should have done this before. Whoa. Whoa. Set. Whoa, way too loud. No, not loud enough. Alright, so
drawn by a craving they can hardly articulate or understand.
that'll do. Alright, so I ripped this off the net. It's some dude's short film about space. It's actually pretty awesome. But what I want to do is I'm just going to do like I'm going to do a 30-second cut down to music. That'll apply to lots of things that you guys will maybe want to do. So I picked this audio track. It's like a Chainsmokers remix. And you can just scrub through. Alright, for starters, I'll cut that down to 30 seconds. So I'm going to bring this down. Alright, so let's explain the timeline. So you've got multiple tracks, and you can mouse wheel in this section to make them bigger if you want, so you can actually get a better look. Plus and minus on your keyboard will zoom, or you can use this little doohickey down here to zoom in and out. So, and you've got your time along here, so I want around like 30 seconds worth, right? But I want to get a decent amount of it, so I'll try and get it like a little bit, maybe a bit of the intro. So like, actually maybe I could start from, yeah. So you got some tools down the side. This one gets used a lot, which is the razor tool. And you can just cut, and then you can go back to the selection tool or the arrow tool and then grab the second half of that. And so now that's like two pieces. Whoa. Undo. So essentially what we're just going to be doing is just chopping and just moving shit around, and until we find something that works. Do, undo. Cool. So timeline, everything, so you got this line here. Everything below this line is audio tracks. Everything above the line is video tracks. And it kind of works like Photoshop. You can just layer them, sort of thing. So whatever is higher in the stack is is visible first before the other ones.
That
But
applies to audio as
no, audio just kind of just overlaps each other. Yeah. Which is good because you can layer up audio that way. Yeah. Okay, so let's try and like do a 30-second cut down of this. I'm just hitting space for play. It's the most common used thing in Premiere. So can I get... Alright, so I might use... I'll skip this bit here. And then... It might have to be longer than 30. It's got to be a better bit. Let's see if we can get something in there. Alright. Cut. And you can hit left and right on the keyboard, and it'll move by single frames, so you can see like that. So where do I want to go? Cut. You can. It's a nice little trick because I'm all the way here and that's all the way over there. But if I'm zoomed in, you can just right-click in the blank space and go ripple delete, and it'll grab everything from further on and bring it in. So we can see if that worked. Nope. So I'm going to bring it out a little bit. So you can just grab the edges of it and extend it back. So it's not destructive editing. You can always it remembers what's inside here basically. What I might do is try and bring both of them out. Well, it's close. There's a double thing there. Which one's it? So that's about there. Bring it back. It's almost there. If I do this, and 1 frame this way. If I get it close enough. Okay. Alright, so what we can do is, because it's a bit abrupt, if I bring them back together, and then if you right click where they connect, you can apply like a little transition, so it'll do a little fade between. See if that even works. There we go. Beauty. Sorry?
So you literally just cut some of the track out of it?
Yeah, I just cut that from, what was it? So I cut from like here to here, and found a way to smoothly, just by shifting it by single frames until the beats match up, and then just did a little transition between, and then just cut it down by that much.
So you can adjust the timeline for the transition as well?
Sorry?
Can you adjust the timeline for transition? Like
Can it-
when you mix two tracks, like with the
Oh, with videos?
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
you
with
can.
the audios as well.
Wait, sorry?
With the audios, can you like shift the timeline or extend expand the timeline?
Oh, you know what? I mean, like you've got a.
By itself. Or
You got like the timeline's kind of like a canvas. You can but like canvas in time. Nah. But it's like you've got all this to play with, and so it's just shifting stuff to left and right. Is that what you mean?
yeah.
You're not moving the timeline. You're moving the contents in the timeline.
Oh, right, okay,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So this, for example, this always starts at 0. So we got 0, and this is 5 seconds in and 10 seconds in, and then we're just moving the content to where we want. So if we moved it to like here, it now wouldn't start playing until 5 seconds in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Now let's chuck some visuals on it. Cool thing about Premiere is you can always adjust the like the layout. So I don't need to look at this anymore. So I can just close panel. This is all different to what I'm used to. Make this a bit bigger. Come on. That'll do. All right, so let's grab some of the Wanderers. Let's find a good opening shot. What does this sound like? All right, I'm gonna grab 4 shots from that. So like, start here, and I don't need the audio. And when you import stuff, they come linked, like video and audio. So if I was to just grab the video and then drag, it brings the audio with it. But you can right click and then unlink. And then so now they're 2 separate things like that. And so I'm just going to get rid of this because I don't need it. And I'm going to bring this up. So I might go here. Chuck you down there. Might grab one of these ones. Chuck you down there. Oh yeah, if you just hover over things, it'll show you. I don't know if you can see it. So like just at the end of the description, I can't mouse away from it. So that says selection tool and in brackets V. And then this is razor tool in brackets C. So I'm just using the keyboard shortcuts to instead of going back to the tools. So we'll go one of those, and then I might save that because that's a really cool shot. And grab this one. And grab and pull down there. So I needed 4. I grab that one too. All right, so just zooming in, and I can see that I want, actually, what I like doing is starting with a little bit of black and then coming on the beat. So what I want to do is start the clip where you can see where the song starts. So I'll just bring this in, and then I know that I only want that to go to here, and then start the next one. Go to here, bring that to there, put that there, bring that there, bring that to there, and then I'll grab that swoopy shot, which was fucking cool. That one. Cut it there. Bring it down here. And then drop that one off, and then what's another cool one? That one's another cool one.
And similar with the audio, when you extend it out and put it back in, it remembers what's.
It does. It's non-destructive. All right. So usually I'll just like chuck a bunch in and then check it. Alright. So what does that look like? Yeah. And then maybe cut to this one here.
Is it always black as default?
Yeah. It's kind of like how Photoshop's default is the transparency. Video's default is black. So I'm just hitting pause when I think it needs to cut, and then I'll just there's this really cool thing here which is called the snap tool. With it off, if I you can be more precise. So it might be there and it's slightly off, but with the snap tool on, it snaps to where I've got it paused, so I can use pausing as a place to cut. It's really helpful, but also it's annoying sometimes, so you can toggle it on and off. Alright, so I'll just quickly try and fill this out so we can move on to other things.
Is there a tool to align the video with the beat as well?
That comes with the more you edit, the better you get at it. Yeah, there's no real audio recognition stuff. Like, it's not like a plugin or anything. It's just that's what I'm doing here. I'm just looking at the waveform underneath, and also so using it as a visual cue on when to hit pause, and then I'll use that to line up all the footage and stuff. Alright. Let's grab something else. Boop. What do we got here? That one looks cool. Unlink. I need you. Yeah. Try that one down there. Oops. Ooh. And you gotta have a quick eye because I think there's one frame that's... Yeah. So this frame here was from the previous shot and I didn't cut it properly. So you just pull that across and then like that. I also find that cutting a frame or two before this actual sound, it's like humans have like a weird delay with audio and visuals, and so cutting the visuals slightly earlier than the sound, it doesn't work when you're like looking at it on screen. Like it doesn't seem to make sense on here, but when you actually view it, it matches up a lot better. Like it almost gives a couple of frames of your brain to sink in that the visuals have changed, and it syncs perfectly with the music. Alright, I'm just going to try and blast through this. Sorry?
That's really cool, eh?
Oh yeah, this was a lot of my inspiration stuff for that that one that I did. Yep. I wish I could do it this good. And it's good to vary up. If you're doing like it's music, it's good to vary out the length because I've done same length, same length, same length, same length, and so I'm gonna mix it up with 2 short ones and then maybe go back to long ones. Let's chuck in some of this. Actually, we can come back to it for the chorus.
Is that sort of unwritten with music videos? It's the 3-second cut.
Nope. This is just, I guess, my style or things that, I don't know, that I feel that works. Just stops it from getting boring. Like, having variance in your editing style, it stops your edits from being boring, basically. And then cut. And then what's next? I wonder if I could get rid of some of this song.
Hey Rob.
Yeah.
You know, like last time you said in Cinema 4D you first light it and then then worry for the texture. So here you first worry for the sound and then go for the videos, or how you
It depends on what you're doing when it comes to what should you do first. For this, if you're editing a music video sort of thing, or you're doing for stuff like if you're doing a cut down, which is to music, I'll make sure that I've got the music sorted first, and make sure I've got that to the right length, and then whenever I'm doing something that's cut to music, I always want to make sure the music's right first, and then I cut all the visuals to the beat. Because if you cut all the visuals first, it's really hard to put a song and have it assume that it all cuts to the beat. Yeah. You know what? I think everyone's starting to get bored of this, so I'm just going to whack the rest of this in so we can move on to something new. So it was just... Alright. Just assume that this is all cut to the beat. No, the thing is, this little bar in the middle, this is your volume. So if I crank this up, it's a lot louder. You can bring it down. But if you control click or command click, if you're on the Mac, you can add dots and then pull down the dot like that. So say I want it to fade out by here. You can fade out like that. And same goes for the video. This is the opacity line. So you can fade stuff out like that as well. So command click, and then you can either drag this or you can drag the line, like so. Or you could do like here, and then drag down this line and it'll pulls down the middle bit. So say I want to fade out. Cool. And then this is all like dead air because it's all at 0 on both, so I can just choppy, delete. Cool. So that's our clip. Say you want to put a fully sick title in the front. I know you will. So you got your type tool. And it's kind of just like Photoshop or whatever. It'll come up in the effect controls. So you got your text down here, and you can change the color and change the font and stuff. So first I'll type in, what did I call it? Stars and shit. Shaz. Let's make it fancy. on din. Nope. Yep. Where is my safe margins so I can get an idea of like where it's in the middle? That'll do. Make it a bit bigger. All right. So that came up as a layer. So you can see that'll be over the footage. And I want that to come off, say here. So I'll have it start with the song. So you can see it. It's a bit of black, and then the title and these shots will come up together. What else? Oh, so for example, there might be times where you've got white type, but it's hard to see what's underneath. What's the best thing to do? Fucking drop shadow. So I don't want drop shadow on that one or that one. Maybe I want it on all. But say I don't want drop shadow on this one. I can slice that like as if it's footage, and then there we go. So we got effects up here. You can just type in drop shadow, and I hate the standard drop shadow. Actually, it's not bad these days, but alright, so that's my text effect. I'm gonna minimize that, and so I'm gonna bring the softness up, so it's a bit more. It's like super subtle, and I'm also gonna pick like the blue, so it kind of blends into the background more. So now whenever there's hot or like super bright stuff behind, there's always just like a really faint sort of bit of blue around it, but you can't tell it's there really. A little bit maybe, but if you're looking for it. But now this will be legible all the time, no matter what's behind it. And for example, say like I don't need it to be blue here, so I can cut it, and this one will remember the settings from the previous one, and I can change this one to like a more muted gray, and so now it blends in a bit more now. So
Is that there, like in the top left bit, like, is there heaps of different text? Is there just like a list that you can go through and like,
yeah,
kind of thing?
like here.
Yeah, like different effects that you can make on the text, and then you can just like trial and
These are effects.
on it and see what works best. Or...
Yeah, okay, so these are like just effects that you can chuck on anything. So this works on footage and text effects and graphics. So for example, if you want like a blur, let's go with camera blur, and you just drag and drop. So I might drop you on the first one. So what that's done, and then this is where you play with the effects. So you can come down, and that's giving me my camera blur, and it's on 25%. So I might start like here, right? And then they've got these little stopwatches next to all these different parameters. So this section here, okay, so where we got, so it's broken up into categories. Motion is like moving it, right? And just changing the size and like rotation and stuff. Whoa.
You set a key so that it starts like straight or blurry.
Exactly. So in the camera blur, I'm going to go to the time where I want it to start this much blurry. Then I'll hit this one. And what I'll do is, this is kind of like a mini timeline of this, but it's only for like the effects and stuff. So we can scroll ahead. You can see it changes down here as well. But so say I want, by the time it gets to the next shot, I want it to be 0. So I'll set that to 0, and then it'll automatically put a little keyframe here. And so between here and here, that'll the blur will fade out. So, I mean, it doesn't look great, but it shows you how you can animate any parameter in here that has a stopwatch. Actually, you know what? I might do something better. Another cool thing is if you've done like a whole bunch of stuff, but you want to affect all of those different things in one hit, you can select them all and go what's called nest, and it essentially just groups it all and makes it into one thing. And then you can call that what you want. So say I want to call that titles. All right, so now that's one thing, right? So I don't have the little cuts. And so if I apply, say, I want to change like the scale. So I want to end at 100%. And so I've gone to here and I've set the stopwatch so it's made a keyframe down here at 100%. And then when I come back to the beginning and I want to shrink it down, not by much, I want to do it like subtle. So now it's doing like a slow grow. Cool. All right.
Then is that when you nest something, does that kind of have to happen at the end? Because otherwise, the
I don't know.
kind of stuff that you do will affect everything.
Kind of works like. Okay. What does it kind of work like? What's it called in Photoshop?
Layer style.
No. Where you when you,
You leave something.
active layer? No.
Mask layer.
Smart object.
Smart object.
It's like a smart object in
Right.
Photoshop.
Yeah.
So I can double click on it and it brings me to a new timeline where just those titles exist, and I can always change it inside here. And then this brings me to another part of the timeline. It comes with tabs, so I can just tab back and forth now that I've opened that. Yeah, so it doesn't like make that permanent. You can always go inside it like smart layers in smart objects in Photoshop. Okay, so I'll show you how to export stuff. So say you want to put it on YouTube or put it on Facebook, or say just send it to a mate. There's different ways you can export stuff, because say you want to upload it to YouTube. When you're putting it on YouTube, you want to give it the highest quality possible, because they're going to re-encode it on their end. And so if you give them a shit quality, they're only going to re-encode it again, and so it's going to look slightly shitter. And then you also won't be able to look at like a HD version of it. So you want to make it look as good as possible. But and looking better will be bigger file size. So you kind of you got to balance it out a little bit. But say you just want to get a version that you can just email your mates. You don't want it online. Maybe it's something sus. Who knows? You can export it in a way so it's maybe only like 3 megabytes, and you don't need all of that better quality because it's not getting re-encoded again. So I'll show you that. First things first, at the moment, if I was to export this, it would make a video 8 minutes and 30 seconds long, because I've got all of this junk down here. Now I could easily just delete that and then it'll only export this, but you can do this thing where you can set in and out points with the I and O keys. So you can say, all right, say you've done this like big edit and you only want to export like one shot. So you'll go to like here, and then you'll go I, and then O, or say you only want this section. Now if I was to export that, it would only give me a video of this. So what I'll do is I'll go in there and out there. Oh, and that's another shortcut is, so left and right does single frames, but up and down snaps between edit points. So I'll go there. All right, so now if I was to export that, it would only give me the video of exactly what I want. Check the front. Yep, cool. Okay, so you just go up to File, Export, and then Media. These are like more for like professional stuff, like if you're exporting audio for sound studios and stuff, you don't need to worry about that. Just go to Media, and that'll pop up with this doohickey. You can preview it. Okay, so formats. Here we go again. So with formats, right? How can I explain this? You've got what's called the container, which is like the file type. So and they come in lots of different ways. It's like you've got like a QuickTime movie file, which is .mov. You've got the most commonly used one, which is MP4. And you've got like shitty ones that I fucking hate, like WMV, like which just will not die. But sometimes you'll get like fucking clients that run like Windows machines that only have like Windows 95 on it, and they won't take anything but a bloody WMV. It fucking shits me. Anyway, so you've got your different containers, but the thing is, within that container, you use what's called different codecs. And so that's what compresses your video down. So you can have a container, but it doesn't really choose what's inside it. So you can have like a container, but then choose to not compress the video, and that video will come out like maybe, depending on the length, it might come out a couple of gigs. You don't need that unless you're handing over like masters to like a grading house or something to make the colors look all fancy. But putting online, the most commonly used one is let's pop this up. Most commonly used one is called H.264. This is everywhere. You would not believe how many times you've come across a thing which is encoded in H.264. And that is you can make like a, why don't you just be the good size? There we go. You can make a MOV movie and then encode it with a H.264 encodec, and then that would come out nice. But you can also have a .mp4. Thank you for not spacing out properly. Boop. You can also encode that in H.264. So there'll be two different file types, but you're using the same codec, right? I highly recommend just using that. Doesn't matter what you do, unless you're going super professional and handing over files to other people that need uncompressed files and need the best quality possible. You're always going to encode it because you want to save file size. So stick with the H.264. I'll show you that in a second. So it's really weird because everything else here is showing the containers, except for this one, but this is an MP4, right? So you've got like QuickTime Movies, which is MOV. Fuck, you can even make a GIF if you want. Jesus, that'll be huge. Right, so for almost all of your needs for you guys, you'll want an MP4, and then that'll be a H.264 format codec. Now, you can choose to change the size. So at the moment, it's still the one that we set. If you're sending it to a friend, you can always scale down the size if you don't want it to be too big. No problemo. You can basically just leave all this the same, really. What you want to deal with, and what's the main thing that's going to apply to you guys, is the bit rate. So it's like how much data you're putting in per second is what the quality is going to come out like, right? So if you crank this like really high, so say, I don't know, 50, your file size is going to be, for this length, how is it? It's a minute. it's going to come out around estimated 415 megabytes. And that's going to be a really good looking video. That'd be, to be honest, 50's fucking massive. I'd probably just do like, I don't know, 15's pretty solid. Like, that's something that I'd upload to YouTube. It's HD, 1920 by 1080, 15 megabits per second. That's really decent quality. So what I'll do is I'll actually output a couple. And show the differences. So stars and shit, 15 Mbps. Let's try that.
Be mindful of your machine as well, like if you're doing it on the.
No, it won't crash or anything. It'll just take longer. But encoding is not that big of a deal. It's with different people's machines. It's more you'd need a bigger machine if you're working on higher res footage. So say I was working on like 4K footage, it wouldn't be able to play it back in real time without a better machine. So in those situations, you'd need to actually run all of those files through like one of these converters and downscale them to smaller files that you can actually work with. And then when you're finished, you replace them with the HD ones and then just hit render, and then that's what's called playing with editing with proxies. So it's essentially switching out one for a smaller version, and then you play around with that, and then once you're done, you switch it back for the HD ones, and then your computer can chug when you're trying to export it, but not when you're editing. Easy peasy. If we're using like super HD footage, which comes every now and then. Yeah. All right, so I'll just export this. So you got two options down here. You can export or queue. So say I wanted to do a whole different version, a different bunch of versions. You can just hit queue, and then it'll stick it in a queue, and then you can go back and do another one, and then you can hit them all in one go. I should have done that, really. All right. So that's one.
Can I ask you a question, mate?
Yeah, mate.
We quite often get media specs from using your ad shells, right?
Mm.
I know if I ask them questions about it before
Yeah.
files,
A lot of them.
sit there and go, I don't fucking know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but the thing is, those people will say they don't know what you're talking about, and then you'll give them something, and then they'll get told by someone else it needed to be a specific bit rate, and you'll have to do it again. This is the bane of my existence, dude.
We kind of get stuck in this. They talk about file size in these words.
Yeah. So what I do.
Can't take anything bigger than 20 meg.
Yeah. So what I'd do is I'd use this little thing down here. So if I'm trying to hit a certain file size, I'll use this little estimator down here, and so I'll be like, all right, so 5 will give me like 43 meg. But the thing is, this is more of an estimation. So yeah, you kind of a little bit of trial and error needs to happen in order to hit specific file sizes. But I just prefer them to tell me exactly what bitrate you want, and then shut up. All right.
Is there a number you would go below for display?
Sorry.
Is there a magic number you would never dream of going below?
I like to stay around 5, which is nice quality video, but it's not amazing, but it's also nice file sizes that you can email around, and people don't have to wait for half an hour to download it just to preview it. So this one is commercial. We render like uncompressed. We're not even doing compression. It gives it the best possible thing. It's like the difference between saving a JPEG and a TIFF. There you go. All right, I'll do 5, and then I'll do something really small, and you can see what I'm talking about. And then we should be donezo. Unless anyone's got any more questions. Yeah, one more.
Do you do your color coding, like color correction, do you do it in Premiere or do you switch to
I can show you that, yeah, too. All right. Let's just see how low I can get this. That's as low as it goes. Um, zero, 019. All right, just for some quick, like usually for professionally for color grading and stuff, we'd send it out or it gets done in a different package. But for you guys and for me, like sometimes the creatives will be like, oh, can you just do a quick dodgy color grade here? Easy peasy. So in where your bin is and stuff, you can make an item just like in After Effects and Photoshop, an adjustment layer. And then you can drop that as a layer on top. And then I'd scale that out so it applies to everything underneath across the whole video. And then you can apply effects to that. So for example, I want to change the hue. Like that. And then, so that's changed the hue throughout the whole thing. So it's just everything below the adjustment layer, and you can
Put it under the text, then text will stay white, and then color coding will apply to.
well, changing the hue of white still white. But yes, if I was to pull that above, yes, it only applies to everything below. And you got your little visibility toggle, so you can always turn stuff on and off, or you can choose to enable over here and turns it off or turn it back on. But just for simple color grading, I'd probably use I like using curves. Oh, it's obsolete now. Lovely. And then I try and just like add a little S-bend in here. So it's like crushing the blacks and bringing the whites up. Yeah, so that's simple color grading. Nothing fancy. All right, so what do those three files look like? So we got so this one came out at 124 megis. That's it. That looks decent. Audio is a bit. Let me out. Alright, and then 5 megabits. Still looks decent though. Like the difference would be. Let's see if I can find something. Might see it in here. Can you see it on the screen? Nah, that screen's too dark. But you notice compression the most when things are moving really quick. Yeah, but all right, let's look at the worst one though. Yeah, you could definitely tell there. So that's what's the file size?
What file size?
Yeah.
It's like 1.
That was 0.0. That was literally the smallest I could go, and that came out at 420 4 megabytes and 4.2 megabytes. Yep. And
1920.
yeah. Okay. So that's the thing is, if I was to export that again, let's get rid of you. And then, so that's super tiny, but if I was to make this 640 by 360, actually let's make that even small. Fuck you. Let's say 300 wide, and then Tiny. So it'd still be the same file size because it's the same data rate, but by shrinking the video size, fuck you.
Gets rid of one.
It's a stupid Windows default player. All right, but by reducing the size, so you can't tell that looks like shit. So you got to try and find like the balance of what you need and reducing the data rate until it just doesn't look like shit in what you're trying to create it as. And then you'll find the balance that works for what you need. So for me, if I was uploading that to YouTube, I'd grab this one, which is 124 megs. I could even up that because they're gonna re-encode it on their side anyway. But no, it's a couple of gig at least on YouTube. Yeah, for sure. And then I'd probably send this one to send that one to some friends. 43 meg, or I'd bring that down to like 2 megabits a second, and probably half that. Yeah. So yeah, that's video editing.
Awesome, man.
Any questions? Good. Done. All right. Woo!
Edit my snowboarding videos for me.
Look. I'll edit your shitty videos if you pay me.
Great.
You just said they were shitty.
No, I didn't mean it. They were fantastic.
All right.
Do you know anything about like how you know when you can upload certain songs and stuff to
Oh.
YouTube? Because like, for instance, chose this epic Ellie Golding song for my snowboarding video, and then YouTube took it down.
Yep. If I uploaded that to YouTube, they'd take it down. Or it's not that they take it down. They have like algorithms and stuff in there that listens to the song somehow. Fucking robot ears, and it'll automatically flag it. And
But it's not all songs.
There's certain songs that are royalty free.
it's almost all songs. Yeah. Unless
Commercial song would be
yeah. I find that I get away with remixes because they're harder to find. But
Instagram, as soon as you put a song underneath they take down the one.
Have you noticed though that they don't own the right? I'll put in current episodes like that. All they'll do is they can set it like a power
Yeah.
chord,
Yeah.
and they tweak the sound
Yep.
very slightly,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's up there. But you're watching it in fucking corner.
If you want a place to upload and not have to worry about that, I highly recommend making a Vimeo account. They're super lax on that stuff. Yeah. There you go.